Absolutely perfect. This is what you want to do with your car. Alright, is the mic working? I think the mic's working. Yes, I accept the risk and activate all mods. I hope the universe doesn't implode. Fuck! Alright, and as usual, I have absolutely nothing prepared for this video, so let me open up the explanation for the suspension settings for BeamNG. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to BeamNG Drive. In this video, I'm going to show you how to become a TikTok sad boy. No, I'm not showing you how to put broken heart stickers on your car. Please go get mental help. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to get very low cars in BeamNG, just like this one right here. And ignore the fact that it's literally blowing out your eardrums. I have no clue why I did this, but I think it's funny. We'll start by using the old Pesma. Paid no attention to Drift Missile 2.0. We'll do the street tune one first. For one, you're going to obviously want to go to your suspension settings, and you're going to want to set everything to race front coilovers. This should most of the time add suspension tuning. Same thing for the rear. So in suspension tuning, you're going to want to go and you're going to want to obviously lower your spring height as much as possible. This thing is pretty low as it stands. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it to scrape, but I might be able to. And if you want your car to be low but be able to absorb bumps and not send a strut through the strut tower, you can turn the spring rate down. But you'll also get called a bitch by Static Seb on TikTok. But if you want to be static as hell, baby, and throw a strut through your strut tower, turn up the spring rate. So I'm here with the street tuned Pesma, and I switched to the regular grid map so we can actually properly test the suspension out instead of on Utah where the roads are actually good, unlike 95% of everywhere else. Alright, so in the suspension tuning, you're going to want to absolutely max absolutely everything out while lowering the spring height, of course. And you can also add some camber if you want to. Just makes you look like a stance boy. And if you want to, you can make your wheels come out a little bit so it's hella flush instead of just like that. So as you can see, if we head up onto these strips right here, we have very minimal suspension movement. So as you can see, when we go over these bumps, we have very minimal suspension movement, and also your car starts bouncing around like a Mexican jumping bean. So if you want even more low, you can get smaller tires, or should I say smaller wheels. And don't forget to put some very small tires on so you get even closer to the ground and you have a better chance of like bending your rim or throwing a shock through your strut tower. I'm using these stretch tires, and as you can see, you have about a 35% chance of blowing a hole through your oil pan when you hit a bump. So you would probably not try this in the real world, but it's BeamNG, so I'm going to absolutely destroy my front bumper trying to do this. And that's exactly how you do it. Anyways, we'll basically go over these rumble strip again. And as you can see, your oil pan is damaged, your exhaust is damaged, your engine oil is critically low, your engine is starved of oil, and your engine's about to explode. Absolutely perfect. This is what you want to do with your car. And you may as well put on a bumper that lowers the front of your car even more visually, as well as a rear bumper that does the same, but it's obviously not going to be as low because reasons. So there are some very hard to lower vehicles such as the D series like this, but there's some mods that allow you to get stuff like the notch frame, which allows you to absolutely slam this thing. And as you can see in the front, it already blew up our oil pan just by spawning it in. If you take a look at it, when you steer, the front bumper is literally being pushed up into the front of the car. Alright, you may be looking at this and you may be wondering, what is up with that goofy fitment with those goofy wheels? There are some cars with mods that allow them to have something cool called air suspension, and you can just lower that down, front two, just like that, destroy your front bumper while you're at it. I don't even think it'll drive like this. Absolutely not. Just like that, and now you can drive. Now you can see this thing has some actual movement to the suspension, so we'll go test this one out first, then we'll go test some of the other ones. You can roll up to this spot. If you see roads like this, you can raise your suspension. That's the horn. Or you can be an absolute G and just slam this thing to the floor, and so we'll keep going. We lost our back bumper, don't need it. Weight reduction. Absolutely perfect. This got a 10 out of 10. 9 out of 10. No, 11 out of 10, I mean, for absolute destruction. Next down the line, we have what I like to call the Rumble Subi, because it rumbles very loudly. And so there's something different about this car that you may not expect from a Subaru. It's front-wheel drive. Anyways, we'll take it on the average East Coast road test to see if it'll survive. So we're getting some bumper damage. Okay, we destroyed our turbo. Alright, this thing, I think, passed the test of isn't able to do most things, so we'll now take it over the bumps here. It's having a hard time just driving because it's getting caught up on its front bumper. It's that low. You are so cool with this low of a car. I will give this thing a solid 8 out of 10 because its front bumper did not completely fall off and destroy itself. Actually, I think I'll bump it up to a 9 because we destroyed our turbo and there's not much better that you can do with something. Next up on the list, we have the 200BX that is absolutely slammed. Actually, it's not absolutely slammed. I see some height in between the ground and the front bumper. You can definitely fit a piece of paper in there, so it's not certified lowboy. Anyways, so when I was making these cars, I decided that, hey, let me just literally put an absolute crazy amount of horsepower in it. So this thing has 1200 horsepower or something. Anyways, we'll do the road test. Alright, we're already spinning her out. So our front bumper is almost completely coming off, but we don't have any oil pan damage or turbo damage, so that's pretty much a failure. We'll take it over these bumps and see how it does over these bumps. We're getting a little bit of back bumper damage. So the front bumper is pretty destroyed. I'll give this a good 7 out of 10 for destruction. The rear bumper's about to be hanging on by a few threads. Somehow we kept our side skirts, which makes no sense since they're like 3 millimeters above the ground right there. I didn't even realize that these were bumps right here, but we lost our rear bumper. Somehow still have our front bumper on. Not anymore. Okay, I'm gonna bump the rating up to 8 out of 10. We literally got stuck on our own front bumper, so that's a flex saying that and all. Also, our exhaust is sticking through the chassis, which makes that even better, but that's not enough to bump up the rating. Anyways, now we'll try our Pessima that we literally just built for the sake of this video. First, we're gonna try the road test. Okay, so we damaged the engine. I'm not sure which, but so far our bumpers are still hanging on pretty nicely. You can see there's a little bit of gap between the hood and the bumper, but that's not enough. We'll take them over the bumps next. So we damaged our oil pan. So we somehow damaged our windshield and our oil pan. Our front bumper is not hanging off by threads. Our rear bumper is completely fine. So I'm gonna give this run a 6 out of 10. Actually, I'll give it a 6.5 because we're currently losing engine oil as we speak. Somehow we made it back over to the lineup, but now we're gonna try the Notch Frame D series, which is already having oil issues. And I forgot I gave this thing 1500 horsepower. So even before we get to the road section, it's already having front bumper issues, which is a good sign. Anyways, we'll try the road test now. Surprisingly, our front bumper held on, and also our oil pan is literally scraping the ground right now. So now we'll try the bumps test. Alright, so our front bumper is now currently held on by threads. The rear bumper is not close to the ground at all. The brunt of the damage is at the front bumper, and we're also having oil issues. And this is also the lowest vehicle of the fleet, so I'm going to give this a solid 8.5 out of 10 for this run. We're also having alignment issues, so I'm going to bump that up to a 9. Next and finally, we have the Corvette. I used to have a very nice Corvette setup, which was around 300 horsepower with a B16 VTEC engine, but since there's a new update for the Corvette, it no longer works anymore. I'm going to say it's around the same height as this, but I think I got the suspension mostly the same. So as usual, we'll start out with the road test. Our front bumper is... At this point, I don't even know if it's hanging on. We have some pretty gnarly chassis damage, as you can see. Anyways, now we'll try the bump test. So we do not have a hole in our oil pan, but we do have a hole in our radiator. We no longer have a front bumper. The entire front end is very messed up. The rear end looks quite fine though. I'm gonna give this one a solid 7.5 out of 10. Anyways, guys, that was the sad boy TikTok trend how-to video destroying cars in BeamNG. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys do like, comment, and subscribe. Anyways, guys, that's all. I'll see you guys in the next video.